Okay, this is video 2 for Sunday, the 8th of September. Now, in the last video, we talked about some of the goings on when we went and tried to get our default judgment authorized by the courts. So one of those things that we dealt with, of course, was a response from the Attorney General of Canada. It was about time they got a response from him. Yeehaw. Guess what? When they respond, they got an issue. One of their issues is otherwise they wouldn't respond. Now, again, on that little bit, we covered off that we had a forum that kind of disputes his claims, right? So this was the Practical Guide to Proceedings Against the Federal Crown. It was written by Martin C. Ward. If you want to, you can Google it and look it up. One of the things we did mention is that the government, because of the date, we kind of alluded to, but we're going to mention it here. The September 4th response was well outside of even the government's enhanced approval period, or period they have to respond. They like to say that they're different, but as you go through this, you're going to see where the laws are written. They do have, in some cases they do have 30 days rather than 14, but they need a clear 14 days. And what they've taken here is way over even the 30-day period. So their actual response to this, that was the reason why they've tried to, enforce that the Small Claims Action is outside of its jurisdiction. When in reality, well, we're countering it with that. It is inside its jurisdiction. Either way, it's not going to get dealt with in this respect until well after the election, which is the whole point behind it, but we're going to make as much political hay of it as we can before the election. Now, in this case, I need you people to share this and like this stuff. I mean, you PPC guys, you don't have a lot of this information. I mean, this all goes to my MP, Bob Zimmer, gets copies of whatever I'm doing. He's been told of the issues that we had on Friday, and tomorrow I'll be sitting with his people in his office explaining a little bit more detail. My MLA for the Liberals, they get it. I assume that they share this stuff. This goes back to the field service management system, all the issues that created this, the emails, the email chains. They have copies of this stuff. I mean, the PPC guys don't have it. If they did, they might make some hay out of this. So if you want it, if senior management PPP guys or PPC guys want to get a hold of me, I'll give them a copy too. I mean, this is information that's relevant to Canada. I mean, this is the way that our system, right? Our government is treating us and treating the laws. I mean, they're running wild. Again, we have the crime minister in power right now. So I mean, that's if you want a copy of this information, we're going to give it to you. This stuff all started out as a safety issue, right? An environmental issue. A way of improving safety, improving the environment, truly being the safest and most environmentally conscious nation on earth. And a way of increasing the efficiencies to pay for it, so that we actually could profit from it at the same time. A way of, rather than an industry extorting its supply chain, service companies and its workers, that the supply chain service companies and the workers would voluntarily want to be involved with safety. Right now, it's a joke. Ask anybody in the industry, or pretty much any industry now. You're dealing with clerical and administrative safety versus real safety. It's not working out. People are getting hurt. We addressed, not that long ago, we addressed a pipeline issue where the pipeline explosion happened, where 4 people, one of them that I knew, one was related to me, got hurt. I went to my MLA with some information about it. He just phoned me up here the other day to let me know that WCB fought on their behalf, and they have a settlement coming. So that's good. The one kid, I guess, from what I understand, is still in the hospital. He's been in the hospital for a while. That happened on June 4th. We covered off here not that long ago about 2 pipeline well explosions. One was on December 28th. It was a Sangua Resources. Another one here was September 1st. What's unusual with that is having one company have the same thing happen twice inside of a year, let alone whatever it's been 8-9 months, and at the same time, in the same field. So if you don't think there's issues going on where maybe they need some accountability, well, you just watch what's going to happen as we keep moving forward in the industry. And don't get me wrong, I want to move forward in the industry. I just want to do it in a safe, responsible manner. I want to get rid of the games. Let's quit playing the games. I know it's impossible right now with the current administration. It's all about kids' games. Let's play games, and we got a kid in power, so let's keep playing games. Now, we're going to talk about the deep state, how the deep state works. When we did the year-end report for last year, sent a copy to the industry and to the various governments. It was 18, 19. I'll skip over the highlights of this section in another video, because this is actually very important, what we discussed last year with everybody, how we got to where we're at, how the Americans are included, how everybody's included in this thing here. But the biggest thing is, in this report, we found an article that was called "The Deep State Exposed." Investigation finds thousands of regulations issued by career bureaucrats in violation of the Constitution by Clinton Brown. Now, it's an American argument, but it shows exactly how the deep state operates, right? It shows you how you start out with corruption, then you go from corruption to collusion, from collusion to abdication, from abdication to obfuscation. Now, we're going to show you that chain of just what just happened on Friday. So I sent Bob Zimmer, my MP, a copy of this, as well as Mike Bernier, who was my MLA for my jurisdiction, a copy of this thing so they could read it. The idea is that when you watch it, it's kind of what I'm about to explain how this whole thing happened. You don't really know. Most people don't even realize that they're part of the deep state, right? That they make up the deep state makeup. Most people are just worried about their job. They're worried about holding on to their job. They're worried. They want to please their bosses because their bosses dictate whether they move, whether they have forward movement or otherwise. It's the same issue that we have whether you're in an oil field or a mining company or any or government or bureaucracy. If you don't please the powers that be above you, and do as they say, then you end up you don't get promoted, or eventually you get demoted. So another way around that is be open and transparent and accountable. Well, that's part of what the field service management system, as you'll keep hearing this alluded to all the time. That's what was part of its mandate, was to make things open and accountable. So again, this article. So using this article as reference, what happened on Friday is we go into the clerk's office, the courts, and the clerk comes and he's looking at it. It's obviously this has been flagged already. So he's flittering around, going back and forth. It's just after, or just during lunchtime. So he's flittering back and forth, and this young guy. And I mean, I hear through conversation he's just had a young daughter and a baby born. So this guy's ripe for following orders. He's back and forth to his far corner, and he's on the phone, back and forth. He doesn't. I mean, I'm a kind of an imposing figure, so he doesn't quite know what to do. Then he's coming up and trying to find any reason not to process this default judgment. Yeah, just the paperwork. It's not even up to him; it's up to the judge. But so he's back and forth on the phone. He's coming back. I mean, this is taking hours. I mean, we're goofing around, passing the same paperwork back and forth. He stamps it, then he takes it away. Then he goes and photocopies all the same stuff over and over again. Then he takes it away. Then it's just it's a never-ending process, right? So with this never-ending process, we had there's a few little issues that came up, and one of them is that we've already expressed one of them, but one of the biggest parts of this is, next thing you know, he's denying it, and he says, well, the higher ups have said that we can't process this. Then he comes back and he says, oh, here's look, the government did respond. Well, it's been going on for an hour and a half. Now all of a sudden the government responded. Like, come on, they've had their responses late. So the response is like, well, no, they have special rights. I said, well, then what are these special rights? Give me the rule. What is it? Go phone your higher ups. Get the rule. That doesn't happen, of course. He goes and phones, click, no, they just have special rights. No, this is in the wrong jurisdiction. I said, well, then go get the rule. Well, it says right here. I said, no. I said, I understand that rule. I said, I know that there's been amendments to that. So go get the rule. Well, he comes back, well, we just can't do it. I said, so we finally get to the point where he stamps it, and supposedly it's going off to the court. And then I hadn't bothered looking, but when he took everything apart and refotocopied it, he took my actual default judgments that I'd printed off on the website myself, filled out. They're all gone. Oh, you sneaky little bastard. Well, here's one of the problems of doing that he's going to find out tomorrow. Does anybody know what money is? Right? Money, our fiat currency, is not backed by anything. So all it really is paper and ink. Well, those my printed documents were paper and ink. To me, that's money. And now we're going to dictate how much money that boy's got in his pocket tomorrow, because he's going to have to pay me for my paper and ink. You stole it. You're a thief. So not only are you trying to please your bosses, but you're a thief. Okay, and I hate thieves. So I mean, that's what kind of started this whole thing in the first place. But so I mean, I'm not going to do anything really about it other than have fun with him. But that's something he didn't even realize he was doing. But he actually committed a crime. You stole my documentation. That was my paper and my ink, right? You stole it. You're a thief. So, but we get to before we terrorize the poor bugger, let's find out how he got in the position he got into. So he's phoning. Every time we're trying to do something, he's on the phone constantly, right? This is going on over and over and over again. Nobody wants to come near this case. The poor guy's running back and forth, and he's flittering around left, right, and center, and just trying to waste his time to try to get to the point where somebody else can come in and take over from him. And when people do come in, nobody's getting too close to it. Finally, he just okay, he stamps everything with the date, except for the problem is there's no use stamping it, right? I mean, you stamp stuff for no reason. What are you stamping? So then he presents me with the copy of the reply, right? Which again is past his due date. So technically we should have gone right on to the default judgment and let the judge decide from there. Again, with the default judgment, you got to go on the judge decides if there's an award one way or another. No, instead the Crown, they decide they want to proceed this way. So what they've done now is they've tried this. By the time we get into if you know what happens in a small claims action, the next process is a hearing, right? So it's called the settlement conference. So you try your settlement conference. I'm basically going to say go pound sand. They're going to say the same thing to me, and then we go on to trial, 3 to 6 months down the road. The problem with that 3 to 6 months down the road is we know where the election is. Are we? Is the government in power today still going to be there? Most likely not. Is the person responsible, this Julio guy, still going to have a job? Who knows? Left to be seen. We'll see. We'll see when I'm done talking to Bob what happens if the government of the day no longer has a job or is no longer in power. If the government of the day is in power, are we still going to be a country? That's the big question. That's the one that you would everybody listen to this better pay attention, because I'm not sure if we're still going to be a country if this government stays in power. So this poor kid, he's getting his poor clerk. He's getting his direction from somebody on the phone, right? And this somebody on the phone that he identifies as the higher ups, right? They're the ones who dictate, what he's trying to do. But he's got a guy who's 6'5", 300 pounds standing in front of him. And I don't smile a lot, so it's I'm not like I'm a smiley jolly guy. So the poor guy, he's got to try to figure out how to lie to me. I'm not the stupidest guy in the world. I might look like it, but I'm not. So I mean, I know you're lying at me, so I'm catching your lies. So finally, I try to short circuit the thing, and I tell him, I said, give me an information. Let me lay in information. I'll lay the information on the criminal aspects of these as I've read out to you guys on the last video. He, well, of course, he can't find an information. He finally gets relief, and he buggers off, hands me back my certificate of service and my files without the default judgment paperwork that immediately went missing. He buggers off. He's gone. He's off to lunch. Right. The next girl steps up to the bat, and I said, "Well, give me I need this information so I can file this information." Well, you're going to have to go up to the Crown on the 4th floor and ask them. So I said, okay, here we go. We're going to get run around. So I go up to the Crown on the 4th floor. The girl at the Crown, there's nobody there. Nobody there wants to talk. I go up to the girl that's their receptionist up there. She says, well, I used to work down there. I worked down there for a long time. She said, they have them behind the desk. I said, no, they don't. I said, can you phone down there and tell them how? She said, well, then you just print them offline. I said, can you go and tell them how to do it? So she says, I'll call down there. Well, next thing you know, I get down there, and it's, no, the higher-ups, they want you. See, nobody wants to identify who the higher-ups are. So that's my job tomorrow, because when my little conversation I had, I got to go talk to my MP's, my MP's office tomorrow. And when I'm talking to them, that's one of the questions they're going to want. They're going to want who those higher-ups are. So tomorrow we'll go rattle some cages at the clerk's office and try to find out who these higher-ups are. Otherwise, we'll file an information. We'll include their names personally on them. Now the information, they said we had to go all the way over to the RCMP. So we get back down from upstairs. We come back down, and the higher ups say, well, the higher ups say you got to go to the RCMP, see if the RCMP will file the case. That's not how you file information. That's not a requirement, but that's okay. You remember me, I had to go there for somebody else for another reason anyhow. So I go over to the RCMP. RCMP said, we haven't got time to look into this stuff. I mean, what do they want us to do? I said, I don't know, open a file. I said, okay, we'll open a file. I said, what do you want to put in there? I said, we haven't got a clue. So he said, good, right there's your file. We haven't got a clue. Go back on Monday, tell them there, you got a file open, we haven't got a clue. Let you file your information. Now, you don't know from what's going on with Norm that the information is it's a criminal suit. But anyhow, so we're going to get back in. So now we got these poor people at the clerk's office. They're getting dicked around, being told what to do, whether they like it or not. The people on the phone obviously have enough pull and sway that these people aren't considering any reasonable. There's just no reasoning with them. Right? They're going to do exactly as they're told to do. So somebody above them is abdicating to them. They're obfuscating by doing what they're told to do, regardless if it's law or not. They're obfuscating to it. So the person that abdicating, you can always think that's coming from upstairs, right? The higher up would be from the Crown. So we have somebody in the Crown that is abdicating, right, for these people to obfuscate. Now, you can guarantee that the person that's telling them, right, to abdicate above is most likely the Attorney General of Canada by the name of Giulio Paletti. I mean, that would be his responsibility, because the problem is that he's filed this late, right? The default judgment should have gone ahead. So now he has to basically cover his you know what. So he's involved with colluding, and who sent this to him in the first place? Well, this would have come from Lametti, right, who is our Minister of or our Attorney General. So this would have come from him or his office directly, which we know that the corruption that exists already in that office. I mean, that's one of the reasons why Norm gets his court case for his information, for laying his information tomorrow. So when you start looking at these type of actions going on, I mean, here you can see how the things work. You send it off to the PMO. The PMO ignored it until it became an issue. It became an issue because as soon as I started doing these web pieces here, people started to pay attention. So now it's an issue. It goes from being an issue to they didn't respond in time, right? So now they've got to convince the Crown that that the law exists, that there's no legal jurisdiction. The Crown itself is not going to take its time to go find out. They don't care. This is a small claims action. That's the beauty of doing small claims actions, because everybody drops the ball. They don't think about it. Oh, there's no time. So then what they do is they say, okay, we'll just dick this guy around, get rid of him, right? Okay. Thing is, you took my money. So again, you're a thief. Not only did you take my paperwork, my ink and my paper. That's the same as money. Money is only ink and paper. So you took that. So holy crap, you guys got no respect for anybody. So then they turn around and they go, okay, now we're gonna take your rights too. Oh, well, I have legal rights. So I have to go point out my legal rights. Okay, I guess that's due process. But these people don't plan on, most of these people I don't think are going to be here. By the time, if the Conservatives take over and Bob remains the MP here, I mean, by the time this is done, one of the first things he should be doing is insisting that they come through and they clean the house in this court registry, right? As they get into, as they replace the Attorney General, they should insist on replacing all the Attorney Generals, right? You got to clean this house. I mean, the problem is that this corruption, right, from the top, the fish rots at the top, and this is the most rotten government we've ever had. So we have the corruption at the top. That corruption boils down to the bureaucracy. The bureaucracy is colluding, forcing people to abdicate. People below them to obfuscate. I mean, everybody's under pressure. They all feel under threat. You can just see it. I mean, they don't know what to do, right? I mean, when they're running around doing their job. I mean, I'm not in there to harm any of these people. I mean, these people are they're workers, right? They're just trying to do their job the best they can. But the problem is, this scares them, right? They're being told what to do. But we don't realize this court case didn't mean anything. This video means something. See, this court case just gives me the chance to do this video. I expected them to respond to this damn thing, right? 3 months ago. I mean, we're talking about safety. the response, the way this man responded, tells me he didn't read the damn thing. He never read a memo, which means the government didn't give him any communication. So if he'd read the communication, he should have been angry, especially living in Vancouver. He should have been really angry, right? I mean, here you go. What are we dealing with? We're dealing with safety. We're dealing with the environment, right? We're dealing with ways of doing it properly and becoming more efficient. And we're dealing with a government that doesn't care. We're dealing with bureaucrats that don't care. We're dealing with a government that all they care about is looking after the interests of corporations. Those corporations, by the way, are almost 90% owned by foreigners, right? Now, so then they turn around and we give them, tax-free status. Look at that. I mean, hey, we're going to give you a dividend. We're not going to charge you any taxes. What's that telling you? 90% of the damn money is leaving the country, right? I mean, what Trudeau ain't giving away, we're giving away tax-free we're giving away tax-free from the corporations. So that's how your obfuscation works. That's how, the poor guys at the bottom, they get pressure from the guys above them, they get pressure from the guys above them, and it starts at the top. So, we can change the government out, but if we don't go through the whole damn system, there was just an article come out, and it was comparing Scheer to Trudeau, right? Or the Liberals to the Conservatives. And in many respects, they're showing the same thing. They're basically, they kind of are the same side of the coin, but where it came down to the liberal corruption, that's expected because they've been governing so long. So when the Conservatives have corruption, it's never as involved or intent, and the media jumps all over it because they're not the party of the party of the Liberals. So hopefully at the end of this election cycle, in the next 6 weeks, if we're still a country, and that's a big if, but if we're still a country, and I think that a lot of that depends on what's going to come out of the United States. So I mean, you guys can look at this, you can think of it whatever you want, but I'm looking at this Nexivism, Epstein, Podesta stuff is going to have a big influence here in Canada, and a lot of it's worldwide, not just Canada. As soon as we can get to it, then we'll find out if we even have a crime minister still. Anyhow, you guys have a wonderful day. We'll try not to be heated, but I mean, right from this Paletti guy down to the poor clerks, down to the poor Crown, every one of these people are getting played. Right? They've been stuck in a system where they got no choice but to do what they're, well, you go along to get along, right? And we got to end to go along to get along. We got to become transparent one way or another. We got to become accountable. And you know what? We built that damn system 17 years ago, and it applies to it works in any industry, and it works in the damn government. And that's what they're most afraid of, because they know they've had it in their hands for 17 fat little years, right? So anyhow, you guys enjoy yourself. We're going to try to get away from this. I'll tell you what happens on tomorrow's stuff. We'll tell you if we get a chance to lay the information. We're probably going to wait on that now until after we see what happens with norms, and then if we get through that, depending on how norm works out, we might say, okay, screw it. We'll wait until after the election call, make a little bigger issue of it. Have fun, guys.